Hannah carefully folded the small square of yellow origami paper, her wrinkled fingers trembling slightly as she creased the delicate edges. A bird gradually took shape, a crane, wings outstretched as if about to take flight. It had been over 70 years since Kenji first taught her how to fold an origami crane under the dappled light of the cherry blossom trees. Hannah could still picture his gentle smile and the tender way he guided her hands to create the little yellow bird, a token of his affection for her. Neither of them could have known then how much that innocent first love would soon be tested. Hannah placed the finished crane on her bedside table next to an old framed photograph. A handsome young Japanese soldier stared out at her from the faded black and white picture, his eyes filled with a fierce determination. Hannah lightly touched the glass. "Kenji," she whispered, "I still remember my promise." Her mind drifted back to that fateful spring of 1945. The war was nearing its ugly end and Kenji, ever the dutiful son and soldier, had been called to the front lines to defend the motherland. The day before he left, they met one last time under their favorite cherry blossom tree, the falling pink petals swirling around them. "No matter what happens, I will find my way back to you," Kenji vowed as he pressed a small folded yellow crane into her palm. "Keep this with you, Hannah. As long as you have it, know that I am alive and fighting to return to your side. And when the war is over, I will come for you and we will be together always." Tears streamed down Hannah's face as Kenji took her in his strong arms. They held each other tightly, both afraid to let go. "I will wait for you," Hannah promised fiercely. "No matter how long it takes, I'll never stop waiting." But in the end, Kenji did not return. Japan surrendered and slowly began to rebuild, but there was no word from Kenji. Hannah's parents encouraged her to move on, to accept that her young love had likely perished and free herself to find a new husband. But Hannah refused. She knew in her heart that Kenji was alive somewhere, and she had made a promise, one she intended to keep for as long as it took. As the years marched on, Hannah remained faithful. She turned away marriage proposals and ignored the whispered speculation about why a beautiful girl like her stayed single. Let them gossip, she thought. All that mattered was honoring her word to the man she loved. Hannah built a quiet life for herself, finding solace in teaching origami to the children in her village. She loved watching their faces light up as they proudly presented her with a colorful folded crane or flower. In them, she saw echoes of the hopeful young girl she had once been. But as more years passed with no sign of Kenji, not a single day went by that Hannah didn't feel the weight of his absence. At night, she dreamed of his face, still youthful and unchanged. She would wake with his name a whisper on her lips, an ache in her heart, and the yellow crane clutched to her chest. When Hannah turned 40, her mother fell ill. As she tended to her mother's bedside, the older woman took Hannah's hand in hers. "My dear daughter," she said weakly, "you have sacrificed so much waiting for Kenji all these years. But don't you think it's time to let him go? To allow yourself a chance at happiness?" Hannah smiled sadly. "Mother, don't you see? Kenji is my happiness. Loving him, being faithful to him, that has given my life meaning and purpose. Some may think I'm a fool, but I made a promise, and I will never break it." Her mother squeezed her hand. "You have a love few will ever know. Kenji is a lucky man, wherever he may be." When her parents passed, Hannah was left alone. She continued teaching origami to the village children, finding joy and purpose in their smiles and laughter. And still she waited. 50 years to the day after Kenji left for war, Hannah returned to their cherry blossom tree. It was late in the season and only a few blossoms still clung to the branches. Hannah spread out a blanket and sat beneath it, the yellow origami crane in her hands. "Kenji," she said to the dancing petals, "I know I promised to wait for you, and I have, for 50 long years. I have loved you and only you, but I am an old woman now. My time grows short. If you are no longer of this world, I pray that you will give me a sign, one that will free my heart to join you in the next life when my end comes." A strong breeze suddenly gusted through the cherry blossom branches. Hannah gasped as the yellow crane was lifted from her hands, carried up and away on the wind. She stood and reached for it, but the little bird soared higher, fluttering and dancing as if suddenly brought to life. Tears filled Hannah's eyes as she watched it disappear into the blue sky. "Goodbye, my love," she whispered, and for the first time in 50 years, Hannah's heart knew peace. Not long after, Hannah fell ill. As she lay in bed, a frail shell of her former vibrant self, a knock sounded at the door. Summoning her remaining strength, Hannah called for the visitor to enter. The door opened to reveal a stooped elderly man leaning heavily on a cane. Hannah struggled to sit up, her breath catching at the sight of his face, aged and weathered now, but still possessing the same gentle eyes that had captured her girlhood heart so many years ago. "Kenji, is it really you?" The old man shuffled to her bedside and knelt down with great difficulty. With a trembling hand, he reached out to lightly touch her cheek. "Hannah, my love, I have finally made my way back to you, just as I promised." Tears streamed freely down Hannah's face. "But how? Where have you been all this time?" Kenji bowed his head. "Forgive me, Hannah. In the final days of the war, I was gravely injured and taken prisoner. By the time I was released, years had passed. I made my way home, but when I arrived, I learned you had moved away. I searched everywhere for you, never stopping. But as time went on, I began to lose hope that I would ever find you." He took her hands in his. "Then, on the 50th anniversary of the day I left for battle, the most extraordinary thing happened. I was walking along the riverbank when I saw a small yellow origami crane caught in the reeds. And I knew it was a sign from you." Hannah's heart swelled, understanding flooding through her. She squeezed Kenji's fingers. "I let it go that very same day, praying it would bring you back to me." Kenji brought her hands to his lips. "And it did. That little crane led me here, to the only home I've ever wanted. You, Hannah. It's always been you." They held each other then. Two hearts finally reunited after a lifetime spent yearning to be whole once more. And though there would be no more days ahead of them, no chance to build the life they had once dreamed about so long ago, none of that mattered. In that moment, Hannah and Kenji had the only thing either of them had ever needed: their love for each other, untouched by time, distance, or the cruel machinations of fate. Under the fading light of her bedroom, Hannah slipped away, wrapped in Kenji's arms. As she took her last breath, Kenji gently closed his eyes and followed her, unwilling to let even death part them again. And somewhere, in a place beyond pain or sorrow, a young girl and boy sat under a cherry blossom tree, their hands entwined, matching yellow paper cranes fluttering joyfully above them in the warm spring breeze. Together, always just as they had promised.